Hello everyone and welcome to this video. I felt like sharing some of the challenges, some of the difficulties with you today that can appear on the path of a priestess, of a priest. I'm a priestess of the Magdalene. I founded a mystery school called Path of the Magdalene where I initiate since many years men and women on the path of the Magdalene, the wisdom teachings of the Rose. And I know that today, through various social media outlets, some people get a very glamorous idea of what it means to be a priestess. And I won't diminish the beauty of the path. I wouldn't change this path for anything in the world. I feel that I'm really at the right place. I am a priestess. My purpose is to work as a priestess. I was born to be a priestess. That doesn't change the fact that there are some difficulties on the path, and the difficulties often aren't mentioned when we see some very beautiful, very glamorous Instagram posts. So I felt to go into that today, not to scare you or not to discourage people who feel called to a path of priestesshood or priesthood, but really to give you some insight and to make sure that you make an informed and conscious choice when you choose to embark in a priestess path, a priestess training, or a path of service to the divine, because there are certain elements that you will be confronted with. So let's go into them. What are some of the things that can create some friction, that can create some difficulty for you? I'd say that first of all, it is projections. When you create sacred space, when you share sacred teachings, when you initiate people into a path of the divine, people will start to identify you with the divine. Sometimes that creates situations of admiration, or where people project a very idealized vision of you in their lives, in their minds, and this creates a distortion. On the other side, people might feel very resentful and very angry towards you, because when you take people on a path of initiation, and I say this every time that I lead a group, it's not a spa treatment. It is not relaxation. It is not something you do to go and de-stress and relax. It's a path of transformation. It's a path of high alchemy. It's a path where you really meet yourself, and you will be confronted with some aspects of yourself that are not living in truth, to bring them back to alignment and to a frequency of truth. But it is unpleasant, to say the least, to see some of those aspects, to be confronted with some of those parts of you. So for some people, they will see you as the reason for the darkness coming up. Because you triggered a process in them, they will see you as the wrongdoer or as an evil person who caused this hardship in their life. And of course, in both cases, you aren't the reason for all the blessings in someone's life, just like you aren't the reason for all the hardship in someone's life. So it's very important as a priest, as a priestess, that you are aware of this and that you always stay neutral when confronted with these kinds of projections, that you don't receive, that you don't take in these projections for yourself. So they shouldn't nourish your ego, nor should they diminish your confidence and your trust in yourself. For me personally, my choice of approach is that I ignore them, because my channel is very open. I feel everything. I feel, I sense, I know whenever a person is thinking negatively about me, sending me negative thoughts. I see them, I pick up on them. I can see it in people's energy fields. I know, but I will never call out a person on this, because I know that because of certain of the energies that I hold, that my energy is very confrontational for some people. The initiation is now a living part of me. So when you meet me, you meet, at least in part, the energy of the initiation. Not fully, because there has to be a real choice and a decision to be initiated to receive all of it, or a lot of it, but people will feel it. And this causes sometimes some friction. What I do is, when I feel it, when I know it, when I see it, is that I will take my distance from that person, just so that they can have their process, that they can go through their process. If they can go through their process and clear this energy of anger, of resentment, of jealousy, of whatever is moving through them, and let it move through them and be conscious of what is happening, then at some point it will be cleared. I can feel that their energy is back to alignment, that their energy is back to neutrality or back to love, and then we can reconnect. I will also never reject, shut out a person when I feel this. I will never counterattack. I will never send negative energy towards this person, and I won't call it out either. I won't speak it, because I think it is important that each person has their process. So this is something related to this, is that sometimes you can feel alone on your sacred path, on your sacred mission, because of this, but also because you will be receiving a lot of information, a lot of activations, a lot of energy that you won't be able to share with others. You will only be able to share a very small part of what you're receiving, because either it wouldn't be understood, or it would create jealousy and resentment, or it's not ready to be shared. So for me personally, for example, I think I share maybe 10% of everything that I receive. And I always wait for a green light in my heart and a green light from spirit to share certain things. I won't share something really incredible and explosive or an important part of information because it will make me feel important or I will get a lot of attention through it. I always wait until the time is ripe to share something. And the fact that a lot is happening, that you are aware of a lot of things of which you can only share a very small part, can create a sense of solitude. That is why I always recommend people who embark on this path seriously to find your allies, to connect to people who work in similar fields. And even if you do, there will be very few people who you resonate with fully, completely, and in every dimension of your being. But those people do exist, and they are like beacons, jewels on the path. So when you find them, appreciate them, nourish those relationships, because that is really important. It is important to have those allies. It is important to have that support. And it is important to have people who can understand you and who can see you on a soul level, on an energetic level, on a spiritual level as well. You need at least some people who will understand that the divine will always come first for you. Not everyone will understand. And in fact, very few people will understand. Especially in our Western world, where the divine has become so obscure of a notion, of an idea, and so unimportant. People will simply not understand, not because out of ill will, but because of a complete lack of understanding, that you want to devote your whole life, all of your time, all of your energy to that. So you need a handful of people at least who can understand that and who can nourish that connection in you. Friends, family members will have a difficult time really accepting the amount of time and the amount of energy that you pour into your purpose or into your spiritual path. So it is to really stay true to yourself. And this is certainly something that I've dealt with already in my lifetime a number of times, where colleagues, friends, family members don't understand that this will always come first. When I'm called somewhere, when I'm called to do something, when I'm called to create something and to bring something into the world, this will always come first. And it is not because I don't value my friends or my family. I actually consider myself to have really beautiful and good friendships and really good relations with my family. But I know that this is what needs to be prioritized in my life. Another thing to be aware of is that you will be initiated as someone who shares initiation, who initiates people into a certain path. You will always be initiated into deeper layers of the self, so you can hold more energy, so you can go higher as well. So the container you are offering is stronger, is more solid, and offers a wider expanse of energy and possibilities to the people who are being initiated by you. So know that this is ongoing. It is without end. You will always meet some challenges, some initiations on your path. It is part of the process. It is part of what you are offering. It actually enlivens, it enriches, it makes your teaching, your transmission real, alive, vibrant, but also deep. And this is a responsibility. This is actually part of your responsibility. Why? Because when you initiate other people, you create a temple. Whether this is a physical temple, a physical space, or an energetic temple, the fact that you are the source of a spiritual path, you are the central pillar of a community, you are already creating a temple space. Because you are the channel or the source or the person through which this initiation is coming through, and all the people in your school, all the people in your network are receiving this initiation. They are part of your temple, and they and their path will be highly and greatly influenced by your energy and your alignment or lack of alignment. That is why it is super important. It is really your responsibility to always be very aligned and to push yourself further, to go beyond the limits of what you already know, of what you're already teaching, to be in constant expansion and constant evolution. Because this will allow for the people who have come through your path of initiation as well to be in constant expansion, to be in constant evolution, and to have access to more energy, more information. You are opening the path. And whether this is in person that you are meeting these people, whether it is online, from the moment a person makes the decision to be initiated into a path that is connected to you, they are connected to you. And subconsciously, energetically, and in the invisible realms, you accompany them. You accompany the soul, your spirit accompanies these people in their path of liberation, of consciousness, and of freedom. So you have a great responsibility, and your responsibility is to stay open, to keep expanding, and to be hyper vigilant about your alignments. To be tuned in as well. And to be tuned in, you have to be open and you have to allow yourself to feel. It is your capacity to feel what is happening around you that tunes you into the language of your surroundings. You have to feel what is going on in the collective, what is going on the planet, what is going on in different parts of the world. You don't have to keep those energies in you. They move through you, and you feel the anger, you feel the sadness, you feel the fear, you feel everything that is moving through humanity, that is moving through the planet, that is moving through the natural world. This will allow you to stay tuned in and to stay relevant and on point with the spaces that you are offering and the teachings that you are bringing through. This will actually make sure that whatever you are offering is helping people, is attuned to the actual needs of humanity. So you can't shield yourself off, you can't wall yourself off, you can't protect yourself from the woes of the world. This is not your purpose. It is not conducive to your mission. Nor are you meant to keep them as your own in your body, in your consciousness. You just allow them to move through, to feel them and then to breathe through them. And to be really tuned in, to be really present. You also have to be ready to let go of everything that is keeping you away from this presence, from this sense of presence and alignment. You have to be willing to let go of thought forms that have become too contracted, that don't really correspond anymore to the current energy. You have to be willing to let go of material goods, of possessions, of life circumstances. You have to be willing to move, to let go of certain things that you have become attached to be in the movement, to be in the breath, to be one with the breath of life and one with the breath of the planet. This can only happen when you are in this space and state of total surrender, which is also why the path of the priest or the priestess is not for everyone. It does require a high level of commitment. In a way, you are like water. You are pouring from the well of the Divine Mother. And the Divine Mother guides and steers you where you need to go. To the people, the circumstances, the places where your energy is needed and can actually contribute something. And when you accept this as part of your path, this is when your teachings are alive. This is when your teachings are breathing. This is when they are in flow, when they echo the movement of life. When you can bring through something that is alive and organic instead of dogmatic. And this is actually one of the ways in which I check if my teachings are still relevant, is to see how they live within the people who receive the teachings. Because they are a living energy, because they are life force, they will grow and bloom differently in every person's garden. And the fact that they do for me is proof that they are non-dogmatic, organic and living teachings. Which also doesn't mean that there is no culture, that there is no tradition, that there is no heritage. There is in fact a very strong lineage that runs through the whole initiation and through the whole mystery teachings of the Magdalene. And this lineage is honored. This lineage is the central pillar of these teachings. But the lineage guides, the lineage protects, the lineage supports, and the lineage helps us anchor the teachings. It is not there to contract, to control, or to constrict. You have to share your teachings. You have to do your work from a space of love and humility. This is something that Saint Teresa of Avila shared in her work, especially around the notion of the interior castle. She said there are two keys that will open all the doors of the self, and that will allow us to really enter into the kingdom. And the kingdom is a space of union between us and the divine, between the human and the divine. And these two keys are very important also if we are on a path of transmission, if we are sharing an initiation, if we take a place and a role as a priest or a priestess in this lifetime. Love, because it is the greatest energy, the greatest catalyst for change and transformation. And with it comes automatically humility, is not taking anything personally, not the positive, not the negative, and not be attached to any outcome. If we are only of service to the divine because we expect the divine to give us certain things in return, we are not placed at the right place. If we only share certain teachings with people because then we want in return those people to admire us and to give us a lot of energy, then again, we are misaligned. This is not what is the most important. The most important is the love for what you are sharing, the love for your teachings, the love for your path, the love for creating divine spaces and allowing people to connect to divine grace has to be much more important than anything else. And if you don't have that, then you will get stuck in those little things like people not being grateful after having received your initiation. Those are all things that are of the realm of the ego. And if you get stuck on those, if you get hurt by those, then it will start to influence your path and actually your power as a priestess as well. God does not owe you anything. No one owes you anything. And that's important to really integrate. And I'd say discretion is another one. As a priestess, the biggest part of my work, the vast majority actually, is invisible. It is not what I share in Instagram posts. It is not even what I share in initiation. It is what happens beyond the words. It is what happens in the spaces I create and in the energy that is underneath the words that I share. This is always the case. The biggest part of your work, if you are real, if you are really connected to the divine, to the invisible, if you're sharing a true path of initiation, the biggest part of your work will not be seen, might be felt by some people. There are always some people who will feel what you're doing in the invisible layers of their being, of their life. But most people will not feel it or will not see it. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay not to speak certain things, even if you know more than some people. Some places are just not ready to receive some information. Even if you are more aligned and more connected than some people, some spaces are not ready to receive that energy. Let the students come to you, the ones who are ready to receive your energy. Don't try to force yourself or your teachings on other people. That's really a dead-end street. So those are the points, the main points I feel where it is very important to be vigilant, to be lucid, and to be very neutral in all those situations, and to work actively on your inner alignment, to preserve your inner alignment is very important. Because if you let any of those things really get or distort you, it will start to misalign you. And when you start to be misaligned, this is when shadow can enter. This is when shadow can seep in. And shadow can seep in as anger or resentment towards people who don't recognize you or don't recognize your teachings. It can seep in as sadness. It can seep in as victimhood. Why am I not receiving this? Why am I not being heard? Why is this person not seeing me or receiving me? Or shadow can amplify some of the doubts you have about yourself and the doubts you have about your work in this world and start to bring you down. And so you can get really trapped in shadow in that case, and it will have a negative impact on, of course, your whole school, everyone who's following your teachings. So you can't allow that to happen. You have to really constantly transform and alchemize and be very aware of the energies you let in and the energies you cultivate. Being aware of this, you can now confidently step onto a priest or priestess path. Enjoy the divine grace and the beautiful sacred spaces that are created. And also be very mindful of some of the difficulties and know that whenever something like that appears on your path, that it's normal, that it's part of the path, and that you can choose how you deal with it. If you have any questions about this, of course, you can post them underneath the video. You can look at my website as well, pathofthemagdalene.com, where I share the Magdalene mystery teachings for men and for women. You can join whenever you like those teachings. And if you like this video, then please click like on the video on the channel. This will greatly help me create more similar content like this. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon on this channel.